South Korea braces for scorching temperatures with Seoul to see the hottest day so far this year. Meanwhile, southern regions are expecting another round of downpours. In President Yoon Suk-yeol's first major cabinet overhaul, new vice ministers and anti-corruption commissioner take office today, with more reshuffling expected. South Korea opens its National Museum of World Writing Systems, a chance to explore writing systems from various cultures, including South Korea's very own Hangul.
Good afternoon. An extreme heat wave is sweeping across South Korea, with the capital Seoul to see the hottest day of the year. Meanwhile, southern parts of the nation are bracing for another round of monsoon rain. Our Shin Se-byuk has the latest.
The scorching heat is set to peak in South Korea on Monday. With heatwave alerts in place across most of the nation, daily highs in the central region are forecast to range from 33 to 35 degrees Celsius. In Seoul, the mercury could reach 35 degrees, making it the hottest day of the summer so far. With high levels of humidity in the air, feels like temperatures will be much higher. Meanwhile, southern parts of South Korea are receiving heavy downpours, with Jeju Island and Jeollanam province in particular seeing heavy rain. Those regions are forecast to receive over 80 millimeters of rain on Monday alone. Expect 30 to 60 millimeters of rain per hour for Jeju and up to 40 millimeters of rain per hour for Jeollanam province before precipitation eases off in the afternoon. And with the stationary front set to move northward, the whole nation is likely to get blanketed by monsoon rainfall from Tuesday to Wednesday, with the central region receiving up to 50 millimeters of rain per hour. The rain should taper off starting Wednesday afternoon. After that, the temperatures are expected to drop to just below the average for this time of year. But expect the heat wave to return across the country later this week, along with heavy downpours for Jeju on Friday and Saturday. And people should take care, as extreme heat combined with humidity could significantly increase the potential for heat-related illnesses. The Interior Ministry is asking people to take caution when engaging in outdoor activities and to avoid being outdoors for a prolonged period of time during peak hours between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. when heatwave alerts are in place. Shin Se-byuk, Arirang News.
President Yoon Suk-yeol's new vice ministers and anti-corruption commissioner are taking office on Monday with an inauguration ceremony at the Yongsan presidential office. Following the major cabinet reshuffling last week, some 12 vice ministers have been replaced at 11 ministries, including Environment, Transport, Unification, and Foreign Affairs, as well as a Human Resources Institute chief who can be appointed without parliamentary approval. Also instated on Monday was Kim Hong-il, the new chief of the Anti-Corruption and Civil Rights Commission. However, Yoon's pick for new Unification Minister Kim Yong-ho awaits a confirmation hearing at the National Assembly. Local media reports that more reshuffling could happen in the weeks to come, with Channel A reporting that deputy ministers at the Environment Ministry have already submitted their resignations. South Korean finance authorities have requested the government ministries resubmit their next year's budget by Monday. The finance ministry said they will review the budgets in a way that they contribute to restoring the nation's fiscal health while being allocated to 4 key sectors, including national essential function, protecting minorities, and creating jobs. This comes as President Yoon Suk-yeol last week promised to achieve sustainable financing through tightening fiscal policy. The Finance Ministry also plans to save money through restructuring, while evaluations will take place to identify projects undertaken by ministries with poor outcomes. Based on the information submitted, the Finance Ministry will finalize next year's budget by early September. With the second half of the year already underway, the country is expecting a range of new policy changes, including those that will affect your money when buying a car and government spending to boost the food tech industry. Our finance correspondent Lee Dae-yeon has what you need to know.
There will be some policy changes that take effect in the second half of the year. The Finance Ministry on Friday released a booklet on all of them. Some will be quite major. First, in the finance sector, the cut in consumption tax on passenger cars will be terminated starting on July 1st. The government slashed auto tax to 3.5% from 5% to boost domestic demand amid COVID-19, but will be going back to the original rate. Any movie tickets bought from July 1st will be eligible for year-end tax refunds of 30%. And starting July 4th, when transferring money overseas, the limit has been raised to $100,000 a year without the need to show proof of where the money came from. People who exceed their duty-free exemptions when traveling to Korea can now use a mobile app to report it and pay additional taxes. Meanwhile, to make the market more accessible, the registration system for foreigners looking to invest in Korean securities will be scrapped. Next, in the industry, land and transport sectors. With the revision of intelligent robot development legislation, November will see the commercialization of outdoor mobile robots. In December, to strengthen companies' response to the supply chain crisis, the industry minister will designate some of the important materials, parts, and equipment that are heavily relied on. There will also be a support system for the victims of jeonse fraud, the large deposit housing rental system. In the food sector, the government will set aside funds specifically to invest in food tech-related companies. This is going to start with $7.5 million this year, with the aim of reaching $75 million by 2027. The 1001 Breakfast Project for university students will also be expanded. More than 2.3 million students will be eligible, up from 690,000. Other measures include providing more welfare services so that those who need care have access to it. Education on and management of drugs will be strengthened too, while rehabilitation for drug addiction will be expanded to local provinces. Lee Dae-hyun, Arirang News.
As Russia continues its invasion of Ukraine, top U.S. general says it is too early to tell the impact of the recent failed Wagner Group mutiny. Meanwhile, the UN has called out Russia for attacking schools and hospitals, as well as for using children as human shields. Yoon has the latest.
Western analysts have said Russian President Vladimir Putin appears to be in a heightened emotional state and that his recent public appearances can be seen as damage control following the Wagner Group's recent failed mutiny. CIA Director Bill Burns, during his remarks in England on Saturday, said that the mutiny showed the corrosive effect of President Vladimir Putin's war in Ukraine, while the U.S. military's top general, General Mark Milley, told reporters on Friday that it's likely too early to tell the impact of the Wagner Group mutiny on Russian President Vladimir Putin. The head of the Russian paramilitary organization Wagner Group, Yevgeny Prigozhin, who led the mutiny, is now confirmed to be in Belarus. His men have been given the choice of joining him or be integrated into Russia's armed forces. Meanwhile, the United Nations has announced it has added Russian armed forces to a global list of shaming for maiming some 518 children, carrying out 480 attacks on schools and hospitals, and using 90 children as human shields.
In Ukraine, the Secretary General decided to list the Russian armed forces and affiliated armed groups under Section B of Annex 2 for attacks on schools and hospitals and for killing of children.
While the UN report also verified that Ukrainian armed forces killed 80 children, maimed 175 children, and carried out 212 attacks on schools and hospitals, the Ukrainian armed forces are not on the global offenders list. And amid fears that Russia might blow up the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, Ukraine is holding drills to prepare emergency services with how to deal with a potential radioactive disaster. Yoon, Arirang News.
Over in France, protests continue over the police killing of a French teenager. Arrests have risen into the thousands with more people arrested over the weekend. Lee Seung-jae has the latest.
On the fifth night of nationwide violence in France on Saturday, sparked by the police killing of a teenager of North African descent last Tuesday, police say more than 700 people were arrested nationwide. Tens of thousands of police were deployed across the country on Saturday after the funeral of the teenager in the Paris suburb of Nanterre. Despite the ongoing violence, French Interior Minister Gérald Darmanin said Sunday that the fifth night was a calmer night thanks to the resolute action of the security forces. France's military police force began mobilizing armored vehicles onto streets starting on the fourth night of unrest, and several suburbs of Paris imposed a 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. curfew until Monday. Meanwhile, rioters targeted the home of a Paris suburb mayor on Saturday, ramming a car into the entrance to his home before setting the car on fire. The mayor was out attending a town hall meeting. However, his wife and children were targeted with fireworks by rioters as they began to escape. The mayor's wife suffered a broken leg while one of the children was hurt as well. A local prosecutor said the incident qualified as attempted murder, adding that all measures will be taken to arrest those responsible. In the hopes of quelling the violence, PSG star and French national team captain Kylian Mbappe has appealed for calm. Mbappe said that while he understands the rage people feel at the death of the teenager, the time for violence must cease to give way to that of mourning, dialogue, and reconstruction. 이승재, Arirang News.
As Canada battles its worst wildfire season on record, a team of South Korean firefighters has arrived in the country's capital city, Ottawa. The 151-member team, including firefighters, emergency workers, and medical personnel, left Seoul on Sunday morning. Upon arrival, they headed to Maniwaki, Quebec for training before being deployed to Le Bel-Sur-Quevillon, one of the worst-hit regions. The team will stay in Canada until August 3rd, and they will join more than 1,500 international firefighters from countries such as the United States, Australia, New Zealand, and France to fight against the raging wildfires. South Korea finished runner-up in the 2023 Under-17 Asian Cup, following a 3-0 loss to Japan on Sunday night. South Korea was left with a hill to climb late in the first half at Thailand's Pathum Thani Stadium when defender Ko Jong-hyun was sent off in the 44th minute for his second bookable offense. Japan took the lead from the resulting free kick before adding 2 more in the second half. With its latest Under-17 Asian Cup title, Japan has now won a record 4 Under-17 Asian Cups. But still, for the Tega Warriors, the runner-up finish means an automatic ticket to the Under-17 World Cup. South Korea has opened a national museum dedicated to writing systems around the world, including South Korea's very own Hangul. It is the first of its kind for the country and only the third in the world. Our Choi Soo-hyung reports.
On Friday, June 30th, the National Museum of World Writing Systems opened in Incheon, South Korea, becoming the third museum of its kind in the world. Following France and China, the museum will serve as a global center for research and exhibition on writing systems by emphasizing its uniqueness.
While France focuses on deciphering and showcasing world scripts, and China highlights the history of Chinese characters and ethnic minority scripts, our museum explores the emergence of human culture through various writing systems and aims to promote a deeper understanding of Hangul.
The most noteworthy permanent exhibits include a tablet of round arc from around 2000 BC, the counterpick jar from 664 BC, and the Book of Joshua, the 42-line Gutenberg Bible for the year 1454. The tablets contain an Akkadian cuneiform inscription of an ancient flood story of West Asia compared to the biblical story of Noah often. Especially the Book of Joshua exhibited in the museum is exclusively held by the National Museum of World Writing Systems. Furthermore, this museum not only offers visual exhibitions but also incorporates a multi-sensory experiential approach, allowing visitors to directly touch replica exhibits and experience more vivid viewing through advanced digital images.
We came here because it's a time when children are getting familiar with letters and they have a lot of curiosity. By experiencing it here, they will naturally become interested in various scripts, including Hangul, as well as other languages.
The exhibition showcases a variety of artifacts from 55 different writing systems, including cuneiform, hieroglyphs, Chinese characters, and Hangul, in the order of language evolution. In the special exhibition room, visitors can share their thoughts by comparing the advantages of writing and non-writing systems. The outdoor exhibition features reinterpretations of artworks inspired by writing systems aimed to attract more visitors.
The museum has an open design and is connected to a spacious park. It is free to enter, so citizens can easily enjoy its displays.
Incheon City will host various cultural events here until July 6th to celebrate its opening. Choi Soo-hyung, Arirang News.
From ballet to classical music, Korean artists are making waves on the global stage in areas that were once deemed hard to break into. Our culture correspondent Song Yoo-jin tells us more.
With elegant arm gestures, light jumps, and elegant twirls, Korean ballerina Kang Mi-sun claimed this year's Benoit de la Danse, often referred to as the Oscars of dance. Kang, the principal dancer at Universal Ballet, one of Korea's top 2 professional ballet companies, has become the 5th Korean dancer to win this award. What makes her victory even more remarkable is that she achieved it through a Korean original ballet piece called 미리네길, where she portrays the deep sorrow of a widowed woman.
I always thought I could do better, so I've always strived to perfect those flaws within me. And before I knew it, 20 years have just flown by. I hope to become someone who can make a positive impact, someone who can lend a helping hand to young ballerinas.
But Kang's win was not the only good bit of news in the Korean arts industry. A few weeks ago, baritone singer Kim Tae-han made history as the first Asian male to win the esteemed Queen Elizabeth competition. And last year, pianist Im Yoon-chan became the youngest ever winner of the Van Cliburn International Piano Competition. In the past, it was uncommon to see Koreans or even Asians rise to the top in international competitions, given the Western origins of ballet and classical music. Then, what's the secret behind their success?
Competitions these days don't just focus on technical aspects, they also evaluate artistic expression. From a young age, Korean artists devote themselves to mastering both technical proficiency and artistic brilliance. Their rigorous training process and participation in numerous competitions at home have shaped them into remarkable talents.
But while these individual achievements shine a spotlight on the arts and spur public interest, it's essential to address the broader needs of the industry.
To establish a thriving art scene in South Korea, we not only need exceptionally talented individual artists, but also world-class orchestras, dance companies, and a solid funding system to support these talents. Unfortunately, Korea has a tendency of focusing only on competition results and trophies, overlooking the significance of expanding the reach of the arts.
These efforts will pave the way for future Kang Mi-suns and Kim Tae-hans to emerge. Song Yoo-jin, Arirang News.
Let's take a look at what's going on in the world now. In the United States, at least 2 people have been killed and nearly 30 suffered gunshot wounds in a mass shooting at a block party in the city of Baltimore. The shooting occurred in the early hours of Sunday in the Brooklyn Homes neighborhood, where residents were holding a street party to celebrate Brooklyn Day. Authorities say multiple shooters were involved and that they are working to identify and find the suspects. The motive for the attack is still unknown. Victims are aged between 13 and 32 years old, and at least half of the wounded are thought to be teenagers. Now, Twitter users faced service issues over the weekend after the platform imposed restrictions on the number of posts that can be read per day. The restrictions were announced by Elon Musk on Saturday in a bid to stop the scraping of potentially valuable data from the platform. Verified accounts have been limited to reading only 10,000 posts per day, unverified accounts to 1,000 posts, while new unverified accounts are limited to 500 per day. Initial limits were stricter, with unverified accounts at one point only able to see 600 posts. The limits came a day after Twitter forced its web users to log into the site to be able to look at content. This previously had not been required. But Musk at the time called the move a temporary measure in response to data pillages. An elephant has been returned home to Thailand on Sunday after more than 20 years, following allegations of animal abuse at a Buddhist temple in Sri Lanka. Named Pearly King in Sri Lanka and Mighty Surin in Thailand, the male elephant was returned at a cost of over $500,000. This comes after reports in 2020 from a Sri Lanka-based animal rights group that the elephant was suffering from years of hard labor and abuse and needed urgent medical care. A later investigation found that the elephant was underweight, had rough skin, abscesses on both hips, and difficulty walking and standing. The elephant was gifted in 2001 by the Thai royal family to serve as a carrier of religious relics. And finally, streets in central London saw the return of the annual Pride Parade over the weekend. But during the parade, police arrested 7 protesters from environmental group Just Stop Oil on charges of public nuisance. The protesters were demonstrating against Pride's acceptance of sponsorship money from high-polluting industries. They stopped the parade by sitting in front of a Coca-Cola float for about 17 minutes before being removed by authorities. Just Stop Oil had previously demanded the Pride organizers to be transparent about the event's sponsorship money and publicly denounce new oil and gas products. Matthew Ashley, Arirang News.
Good afternoon. South Korea's central regions are being hit by extreme heat today, with the highest temperatures in Seoul expected to reach as high as 35 degrees Celsius. Heat wave alerts are in place pretty much in every part of the country today. In Tijuana, south of Jeollanam-do province, saw heavy showers throughout the morning hours. Then from the afternoon, Gangwon-do and Jeollado provinces could see 5 to 40 millimeters of passing rain during the day today. Now, the regions that are free from rain are having very strong UV rays, and there will be moisture in the air throughout the day, which is making things even more uncomfortable. But brace yourselves, after the monsoon season ends, blistering heat and very high UV rays will be the main conditions we're going to have. Now, today's heat wave will be short-lived with rain in the forecast tomorrow, which should continue into Wednesday. Then rain returns at the end of the week on Jeju Island. Now that's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions.
Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of the day.